Hey, what's up YouTube? Yami here, and today I'll be covering DBS Chapter 90. And I know that I'm 2 or 3 days late, but I had to get What If the Sensu Beans Went Extinct Part 3 out, and that took a while. But anyways, moving on, from what I've heard about this chapter, apparently this is the last chapter before we actually jump into the events of the superhero movie, which at this point, the way these prequel chapters have been going is a good thing. As someone who is excited for this arc, I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of a disappointment. They could have gone in so many other interesting directions, but they didn't, and as a result, we got this. As much as I want other characters to be given the spotlight, if it's done poorly then I'd rather they don't. This arc could have focused on Goten and Trunks deciding to take their training more seriously due to having encountered a more tantalizing android, one that could have pushed them. They could have had this alongside with the story about being superheroes and Dr. Hito. This could have made things a little bit more interesting if they had actually struggled against one of Dr. Hito's androids, and as a result they decided to get back into fighting. But yeah, you get the point. All I'm saying is, there were ideas that they could have explored, even with what they were working with. But yeah, enough with my rambling, let's hop straight into the chapter. Opening up on the first page, we are greeted by a nicely colored page by Toyotaro, taking inspiration from his previous works. Moving along, in the next couple of pages, we see that Krillin is on the lookout for the Alpha Series androids that were introduced in Chapter 88, and he finds them working in what looks to be a convenience store. You'd think that someone would notice that these guys are literal zombies, but everyone in the store acts as if it's normal. I mean, to be fair, they have a literal dog person as a leader, so I guess this is just an everyday thing for them. So Krillin tries to get some answers out of these guys about Dr. Hito, and they try to make a run for it once Krillin gets distracted. Unfortunately for them, he arrests them before they can make their getaway. On the next page, we see Goten going to school on the Nimbus, and he pulls a pretty smart move that hides the fact that he lives so far away. Unlike his brother who covered up his trail with something crazy like taking the fastest jet to make it to school. So what Goten does is he takes the bus and makes it seem as if he lives in the area. He even goes as far as saying that he's more of a homebody to hide the fact that some of his friends don't ever see him, although it looks like he lives in the area. While on the bus, we find out that one of Goten's classmates seemingly has a crush on Trunks and wants Goten to ask him out for her. But Goten, knowing Trunks and his obsession with gilfs, can't promise her that he'll say yes, and before he could explain why, the bus collides into Beta number 7, who in my opinion is a huge downgrade compared to Beta number 1 and 2. Rip ass blaster, I'll never forget you. Anyways, Goten escapes the bus with the help of one of his classmates, suits up, and cleans up the trash by literally putting him in the trash. In the next couple of pages, we see that one of Trunks' classmates is inviting everyone to a school dance, and he tries to persuade Trunks with the promise that the Clean God was going to be there. Trunks considers it and decides that he'll ask Mai if she wants to go to the dance with him. And his dreams come true when Mai pulls an Uno reverse and actually asks him out instead. Little does he know, she's only going there with him in order to weed out Dr. Hito, who is also a big Clean God fan, and apparently she was aware that he's been spying on them. If you ask me, as smart as she is compared to Trunks and Goten, it makes me wonder how effective she'd be if she had the power to back it up. Moving along, her plan pretty much works as we see Dr. Hito does plan on attending the event. In the next couple of panels, we see that Trunks is excited about his quote-unquote date with Mai, and he leaves Goten behind in order to get a nice new outfit. Once he's gone, this is where we see Goten getting dragged aside by Mai, who explains why she even asked Trunks out in the first place, which was, like I stated earlier, was to get to Dr. Hito, and apparently she knows all of this due to doing some research on him after finding out that Beta 1 was created by him. And for the most part, she just explains how she came up with the idea to lure him out, with her finding out that he was a big fan of Clean God due to him only showing himself once, and that was to get the hero's autograph, and her realizing that they were being spied on by these little spy droids. After that, it was as simple as taking advantage of the party that Trunks' friend had planned. Moving on, next page, we see her put her plan into action as she pulls up to the dance in a suit of armor whilst wearing a dress. A pretty neat looking combination, I must say. And not much happens over the next couple of pages. The only thing worth mentioning is how jealous Goten's classmate is about Mai, even going as far as calling her a formidable opponent. Anyways, in the funniest scene in this chapter, we see both Trunks and Dr. Hito fanboying over Clean God. I mean, just look at these guys. They could have been great friends. I mean, if it wasn't for one of them turning the dead into androids for his own nefarious purposes, I'm pretty sure it could have worked out. Anyways, this is where we learned that the only reason that Dr. Hito popped up in the first place was to replace the autograph that had gotten stolen from him. Moving along, Mai calls out Dr. Hito and prepares to blast him, but she gets interrupted by Beta 1, who for some reason was led back into the school even after the stunt he pulled on his first day, and he even managed to get himself a date. Anyways, the party gets crashed by the police, with Krillin leading the charge, and Dr. Hito uses a smoke screen in order to make his getaway. And I don't know why Krillin just doesn't throw a key blast or something like that at his car. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time that we see a civilian in Dragon Ball survive something like this. But no, instead he decides to chase after him. I guess to hide his identity or something. I honestly don't know. Krillin chases after him, and on the next page, Mai reveals that she was sent here by Bulma in order to keep an eye on Trunks, and on that same page, it's revealed that Dr. Hito stole Trunks' bag. Afterward, Mai tells Trunks to go after him, letting him know that she's aware that he's Saiyaman X1. This surprises Trunks as he believed that she thought that Saiyaman X1 was the Trunks from the future, and she tells him that that couldn't be possible due to, well, you know, Trunks literally leaving in front of everyone at the end of the Goku Black saga. Now with a promise that Mai will go on a date with Trunks if he takes down Dr. Hito, he and Goten catch up to Krillin, and on their way there, this is where Krillin informs them on who Dr. Hito is, that being Dr. Gero's grandson and a scientist who specializes in making androids. However, they don't know exactly why he makes them. We find out that the Red Ribbon Army has recently started up, and that they want Dr. Hito to work for them like his father before him. And they essentially talk about trying to stop the events in the movie from taking place, saying things like if the Red Ribbon Army and Dr. Hito work together, it could be a real crisis, and mentioning the contents of the disc being a danger if it fell into the hands of the army. When they arrive, Dr. Hito releases his strongest android up until this point, being something pulled straight out of a Power Rangers episode, the Dino Droid number 1. If I'm being honest, I expected him to go with another android following the Alpha, Beta, Gamma, Delta, Omega naming scheme, but no, instead we got this. So a fight takes place between our heroes in this throwaway Power Ranger Zord, and it actually performs pretty well against them, even pushing base Goten and Trunks back. Unfortunately for this dino, Krillin finds his weakness, which is an exposed mechanical part that is responsible for something important. What that is, I can't say. But thanks to Krillin's quick thinking, Goten and Trunks go Super Saiyan and defeat the Dino Zord with the use of a Cyclone-style Tornado Double Hurricane. Dear God, these guys still suck at making names. Anyways, on the last couple of pages, we see Dr. Hito getting arrested, and this is where we learn that the only reason he wanted the disc back was because it held the Clean God autograph that he had lost. We also learned that he had already memorized everything that was held on the disc, showing us that he already knew how to make Cell. And with that, Dr. Hito goes to prison, putting it into this prequel chapter and setting up the events that we see in the beginning of the superhero movie, which was the Red Ribbon Army breaking Dr. Hito out of prison. Now with that, that puts an end to chapter 90 and an end to the prequel chapters, which has only been 3 so far, and I'm kind of glad that it ended. It's about time that we moved on. It was a good break from all the action, but I think it's about time that we get back on track. But yeah, I don't really have much to say about the chapter, as I'm more excited to see how the manga will interpret the superhero movie, that's even if they do, so that we could probably get more details about the superhero movie that were probably left out from the original movie, or even them just completely skipping it and just giving us the Black Frieza saga. But with that, thank you to everybody who watched this video. I hope you have a good day. Peace, peace, deuce, deuce.